Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. It's a Saturday night, and Dynamite was on tonight, and I thought the show tonight was an awesome show. It was a good show, in my opinion. Really enjoyed Dynamite tonight. We saw Hangman Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. We also saw Matt Sydal. He ended up taking on Dante Martin. We also saw Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson. And in the main event, we saw Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy, where the AEW World Championship was on the line. And this was the most important match for Jungle Boy. And overall, like I said, Dynamite was an awesome show tonight. It was a good show. And Dynamite is finally about time going back to its time Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So finally, about time, Dynamite is back on Wednesday, starting this week. So, but anyways, let's jump right into the review. So Dynamite opened up tonight with Alex Marvez. Alex Marvez was talking with Sammy Guevara about Guevara's match against MJF, which is taking place this Wednesday on Dynamite. And so Guevara was talking with Alex Marvez, and Shawn Spears ended up hitting Sammy Guevara with the chair, because Shawn Spears was hiding around the corner. So Sammy was on the floor. He was on the ground, selling that chair shot from Shawn Spears. So Spears ended up telling Guevara, "Told you I get ya." And so he was laughing. So Spears ended up telling Guevara that was courtesy of MJF. And so Spears ended up walking off. And that was that. So really looking forward to Guevara and MJF this week on Dynamite on Wednesday. You can feel the tension between both MJF and Guevara, with Sammy Guevara going on his social media and posting everything about MJF, like posting old photos of MJF. So you definitely feel the tension between the both of them. And I think they're going to deliver a really good, awesome match this Wednesday. So looking forward to it. And then we had the first match of the night, which was Hangman Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And this was a good match here. This was an entertaining match from these two. Of course, you had Taz on commentary for the match. The match started off with Hobbs delivering a shoulder tackle, which took out Page. Hobbs then ended up lifting Page and jammed him into the corner. He was following it up with a bunch of shoulder thrusts to Page's midsection. Page was sent out to the apron. He was looking to go for the buckshot lariat to Hobbs, but Hobbs ended up bailing out to the floor. So Hobbs then delivered a suplex to Page in the ring. And he was looking to go for a Vader bomb, but Page ended up getting his boots up. Page then got sent into the ring post by Hobbs. And when he got sent into the ring post, it looked like the back of his head hit it, because at that point we saw Page was bleeding from the top of his head. So Hobbs ended up yanking Page's shoulder into the ring post a couple of times. Page then blocked it, and he ended up pulling Hobbs into the ring post. Hobbs then ended up getting shoved into the ring post once again by Page. So Page, later on in the match, delivered a big lariat to Hobbs, which he went for the cover, which Hobbs ended up kicking out too. And then we saw Hook and Ricky Starks. They made their way out. Hobbs was asking for the FTW Championship, which Starks ended up having. So Brian Cage ended up coming out. He ended up taking the FTW Championship away, and he went after Ricky Starks. Starks ended up running off. Brian Cage was just tearing Starks' shirt off of him. So Hobbs then delivered a spine buster to Page. He went for the cover, which Page ended up kicking out too. Page ended up missing a running splash, and he ended up delivering a German suplex to Hobbs. And then Page ended up landing the Deadeye to Hobbs. He went for the cover, and there you go. Hangman and Page ended up winning the match. Overall, this was an awesome match. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. Both these two put on a good match here. It looks like with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, already we can say that Brian Cage, after attacking Ricky Starks, this is already the start of Brian Cage's run as a babyface. So a match between them will be coming soon. So then we saw Brandon Cutler and the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson ended up bringing up fans calling them overrated. The Bucks aren't overrated. They're just very talented in the ring. I'm a fan of the Bucks. So they're not overrated in my opinion. I don't know any other wrestling fan that thinks the Bucks are overrated. I can name some other wrestlers that are overrated than the Young Bucks. So Matt ended up bringing up that despite them being the longest reigning tag team champions. So Cutler was trying to get into the details about their title run, but Nick Jackson ended up telling Cutler to shut up. So the Bucks ended up mentioning that next week's match against Eddie Kingston and Penta, El Zero Miedo. And if Eddie Kingston and Penta win, they get a title shot. So Matt ended up saying that they are just a random team put together and that there's no way that both Eddie Kingston and Penta are going to win. Matt ended up saying that they are EVPs, which when they say EVPs, they're extremely violent people. Matt ended up saying that they don't plan on losing. So that was what the Bucks had to say. But if Eddie Kingston and Penta, if they win and beat the Bucks, they get a shot at the tag team championship. So there you go. And then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring with Tully Blanchard. Tony Schiavone then introduced Conan out to the ring. So Tully ended up saying that the last time he saw Conan, he wanted to interfere in a match. But due to Conan's legendary status, he can go first. So Conan was out there. Conan ended up saying that he's not intimidated by Tully Blanchard's mind games. He ended up saying that Santana and Ortiz won't be scared either. And Conan is a mentor to both Santana and Ortiz. So Conan ended up saying that FTR tried to say they came up the same as both Santana and Ortiz, but they are not nearly the same. Conan brings up gangs trying to find food and avoid getting profiled by cops. He ended up saying that the two teams aren't the same. So he was speaking in Spanish. He ended up saying that Tully Blanchard better learn some Spanish so he can communicate with his grandkids. So Conan right here was referring, about Tessa Blanchard being married to Daga. So Conan was referencing that. So Tully Blanchard ended up saying that Santana and Ortiz are going to be dropped when they come face to face with FTR. And Conan was like, oh, I don't see that happening. So he ended up saying to Tully Blanchard that Walmart is still looking for greeters when he needs to find a new line of work. So he was saying that to Tully Blanchard, which I thought that was funny. So Conan ended up saying that his guys are in the back, and he's always one step ahead. So then we see two masked men end up coming out to the ring. Tully Blanchard ended up telling Conan to look to the screen and say something now. So we saw Santana Ortiz got attacked backstage. So FTR then unmasked themselves. They were the two masked men, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler. And so FTR ended up attacking Conan. So they delivered a spiked pile driver on Conan. And Tully Blanchard was like, what do you have to say now? He was telling that to Conan. And FTR was mocking Conan with the hand signals that Santana and Ortiz does. And pretty much that was how the segment ended. But we're looking forward to seeing, FTR versus Santana Ortiz. That is going to be one of the best tag team matches of the year, when it takes place. So looking forward to that. And then we had Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin was coming up. That was the next match. But before the match got going, we had Vicky Guerrero come out as everyone possibly picked up their remotes to mute the TV or have their ears start bleeding from her "Excuse me." So Vicky Guerrero ended up introducing Andrade El Idolo. So Andrade ended up making his way out. Vicky Guerrero ended up saying that they have a big announcement tonight. But Vicky Guerrero couldn't make that announcement because Matt Sydal's music ended up hitting. So Matt Sydal ended up coming out along with Mike Sydal. So they give a look at Vicky Guerrero as Vicky ended up holding Andrade back. But that was basically that. But no big announcement from Vicky Guerrero tonight. But really looking forward to see Andrade having a match in AEW, stepping foot in an AEW ring. I think he's going to succeed here in AEW than what WWE failed to do with him. I think he's going to have a great run here. And I can't wait to see it. And then we had the match, Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin. This was a decent match. Match started off with both Sydal and Martin going back and forth. Dante Martin ended up delivering a springboard dropkick to Matt Sydal. Went for the cover, which Sydal kicked out at 2. Dante Martin got sent to the apron by Sydal. He ends up throwing forearms. He ended up getting back in the ring and ended up taking a leg lariat. So both of them went back and forth again. Sydal was working on Dante Martin's knees until Dante was able to break the hold. So Dante ended up recovering. He ended up hitting a springboard moonsault. A nice springboard moonsault on Matt Sydal. So we had a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. So we had both Sydal and Martin. They ended up going to the top rope. Sydal knocked Dante Martin down, and Sydal delivered the Meteora on Dante Martin, went for the cover, which Martin ended up kicking out too. So at the end of the match, we had Dante Martin end up going to the top. He ended up leaping off the top. He landed on the mat, which he ended up tweaking his knee. So Matt Sydal then took control, delivered a kick to Martin's head, and he ended up hitting the lightning spiral to Dante Martin. Went for the cover. There you go. Matt Sydal ended up winning the match. Overall, decent match from both these guys. So then we had Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy was talking about his match tonight with Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. He ended up saying that it's going to be the biggest night of his life. Of course, this match is the biggest match of Jungle Boy's career. So Christian Cage ended up showing up. He ended up telling him it is indeed the biggest night of his life. So Jungle Boy ended up asking Christian how he's doing with Team Taz. So Christian ended up saying that he's fine and that tonight is Jungle Boy's night. So Christian ended up telling Jungle Boy that he shouldn't be nervous, that he should be angry. He should be mad at what Kenny Omega has said and done. He also ended up telling Jungle Boy that he shocked the world when he won the Casino Battle Royale, and that he's going to do it again later on tonight. So that was that. More hype for Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega's match, which we saw later in the night, which was, of course, the main event. So then we had Mark Sterling. Mark Sterling was with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was in a bikini. And Sterling was hyping up the hashtag JBrand. He ended up talking about the Shop AEW sale that's happening tonight. And he ended up mentioning that he bought a Dark Order shirt, which Jade Cargill ended up snatching the shirt away from Sterling. Sterling ended up saying that they have already sold a ton of Jade Cargill's shirts, including most 2XLs. And Jade Cargill ended up saying that she's undefeated and is still that bitch. And she was tearing the Dark Order shirt in half. And that was basically that. But promotion for the Shop AEW sale, which is happening tonight. So then we saw Alex Marvez backstage with MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears. And MJF ended up saying that nobody wants to hear Marvez talking. So MJF then got on the mic. He ended up saying that he knows fans are mad about what he did to Jericho and what Shawn Spears did to Sammy Guevara earlier in the day. He wanted to say that he doesn't get why people care what he did to Dean Malenko last week. He ended up calling Dean Malenko old. And he was saying that Malenko is an old, sick man who has no place in a profession as dangerous as pro wrestling. So MJF ended up saying that Malenko should thank him for giving him an early retirement. So then we had Jericho and Hager. They ended up attacking the group from behind. So we had Jericho and Hager end up beating them down. And they went out to the ring. And MJF ended up trying to run away. Jericho ended up catching him. So all of them were just battling. MJF ended up holding Jericho as Wardlow started beating Jericho down. Hager and Jericho then end up eventually going down. Shawn Spears then brought a chair into the ring. And Sammy Guevara's music ended up hitting. And then out came Sammy Guevara. Sammy ended up delivering a boot to Wardlow. He ended up taking down Shawn Spears. And Guevara then ended up hitting Wardlow with the chair. He ended up swinging at MJF, but MJF ended up bailing out of the ring, wanting nothing to do with Sammy Guevara. So Sammy then ended up hitting Shawn Spears with the chair. And Guevara ended up getting on the mic. We had a Sammy chant from the crowd. So Sammy Guevara ended up saying that on Wednesday, the company finds out what he already knows. That they put the wrong guy on the posters and made action figures of the wrong guy. So Guevara ended up saying to MJF on Wednesday, I'll show you why I'm the best. And you know it. So that pissed off MJF. MJF was just yelling at Guevara. So that was that. But this was a good segment here. Hype for Guevara and MJF's match on Wednesday. So then we had Miro end up cutting a promo. Miro ended up saying that before he gets to Brian Pillman Jr., he wants to thank God for making him powerful and his hot wife flexible. Ain't that a tease that Lana will possibly be joining AEW, which that is going to happen. Lana will be making her AEW debut with Miro at some point. So Miro ended up saying that people like Brian Pillman Jr. attack him for no reason when he tries to help a woman in need. He wanted to say that Pillman might be ranked at the top of the tag team division, but he's going to have issues with someone like him, like Miro, one-on-one. So Miro then called himself God's favorite champion and says the bravest thing he ever did was thinking of attacking. And the stupidest thing he's ever done is actually doing it. So that was that. So that was the promo from Miro. And then we had Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson. Of course, Ethan Page came out along with Scorpio Sky. Bear Bronson came out along with Bear Boulder. Of course, you have AEW Dark Talent in Bear Bronson. This was a okay match here. We had Ethan Page end up delivering a shot to Bronson's face, which only annoyed him. Bronson delivered a couple of shoulders to Ethan Page and then a body block. Page ended up delivering a shot to Bronson's midsection, started taunting him. Bronson then delivered a power slam to Page, went for the cover, which Page kicked out too. Bronson ended up knocking Page out to the floor. He was looking to go for a suicide dive, and then Scorpio Sky then ended up shoving Page out of the way, and he ended up taking the suicide dive. Scorpio Sky ended up taking the suicide dive. So they were out on the floor, and Boulder ended up staring at Page. So Page was like, "Hey ref, he touched me." So the referee was looking at Boulder, and that led to Scorpio Sky again in a cheap shot at Bronson. Page then ended up launching Bronson into the barricade, and they made their way back into the ring. Page was in control of the match. So Bronson then ended up hitting the spine buster. He was looking to go for the running senton, but Page ended up moving out of the way. Page tried to go for the Ego's Edge, but Bronson ended up reversing it. He ended up dropping Page for a 2 count. So Page and Bronson were up on the top turnbuckle, and Page delivered a superplex on Bronson, which Page went for the cover. Bronson ended up kicking out at 2. And at the end of the match, Ethan Page ended up winning the match, where Bronson ended up going back up to the top. Scorpio Sky got up on the apron. Boulder ended up yanking Scorpio Sky off and punched him in the face. And the referee was distracted on that. Page then delivered a low blow to Bronson. And after he hit that low blow, Paige ended up hitting the Eagle's Edge to Bronson. Paige went for the cover. And there you go. Ethan Page ended up winning the match. Post-match, Scorpio Sky ended up getting on the mic. And he was happy about Paige winning the match. He was like, "My man." And then Paige then got on the mic. He ended up saying, "I'm not stupid," which the fans retaliated and said, "Yes, you are." And Paige was like, "No, I'm not." Paige then wanted to say that he knows for a fact that Darby Allin is not down with him. He wants to say that pinning Darby is not enough for him, and that he wants to be the nail in Darby Allin's coffin. So Paige then went on to say that on July 7th in Miami, he challenges Darby Allin to a coffin match. So that was what Paige had to say, but a coffin match, Paige versus Darby Allin, that is going to be awesome. Really am looking forward to that match on July 7th. So that's going to be entertaining. And I know Darby Allin is going to win that match. So looking forward to it. And then we had Britt Baker, the AEW Women's World Champion, and Rebel. They were laughing about Vicky Guerrero getting a chance to ask Tony Khan for a favor. And that favor was a match. Britt Baker ended up saying that she's the face of the new era. And she doesn't have time for old women in the ring. So Baker was like, "Excuse me in advance for being your ass in our match next Wednesday." And Britt Baker, of course, does the, DMD. Now we went to Vicky Guerrero with Nyla Rose. Vicky Guerrero ended up saying that their tag match is just going to solidify that Rose is the number one contender for the AEW Women's World Championship. So Nyla Rose ended up saying that next week they will be locked in the ring with the best. But they need to watch out for the claws of the Cougar. So Vicky Guerrero also noted that Nyla Rose will face Britt Baker for the AEW Women's World Championship at Fyter Fest. So there you go. There's your match for a Fyter Fest. Nyla Rose will be taking on Britt Baker for the AEW Women's World Championship. But I'm not looking forward to this tag team match on Wednesday. I'm like, Vicky Guerrero in the ring, that's going to be awful. Rebel, she's awful also. She should stay out of the ring. This match is going to be terrible come Wednesday night. Not looking forward to it. The only one that will stand out in that match is Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. And then we had the Bunny versus the Alien, Kris Statlander. This was a solid women's match. The Bunny ended up coming out along with the Blade. Kris Statlander came out with freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. But like I said, solid match. We had the Bunny working on Kris Statlander with a bunch of arm drags. And Statlander delivered some slaps to the Bunny's face. She caught the Bunny in midair and delivered a slam. Statlander landed a suplex on the Bunny. The Bunny ended up sending Statlander into the corner and delivered a boot to Statlander's face. So we had Kris Statlander being sent out to the floor after that boot to the face from the Bunny. The Bunny then ended up whipping Statlander into the barricade. And they end up going back to the ring. The Bunny ended up standing Kris Statlander back out to the floor. She ended up charging and end up taking a spinning power slam. And we saw the Blade was up on the apron later on in the match. The Blade ended up distracting the referee, and he ended up slipping some brass knucks into the ring. And Orange Cassidy ended up taking the brass knucks from the Bunny, and Cassidy ended up putting the brass knucks in his pants pocket, and he rolled back out of the ring. Kris Statlander then delivered the Big Bang Theory on the Bunny, and she went for the cover. And there you go. Kris Statlander ended up winning the match. Post-match, Orange Cassidy was celebrating with Kris Statlander, but then he got attacked by the Blade. And we saw Angelico and Jack Evans, the Hybrid 2. They ended up running out to the ring to help beat down on Orange Cassidy. The Blade ended up taking back his brass knucks, and Orange Cassidy was being held by Angelico and Jack Evans. The Blade then ended up hitting Orange Cassidy right in the face with the brass knucks, and he went down. He was knocked out. So that was that. But it looks like we're possibly going to be seeing the Blade versus Orange Cassidy if they make that match. Overall, it was a solid women's match from Statlander and the Bunny. So then we had Tony Schiavone. He was talking with QT Marshall, which was done earlier in the day. He was talking with QT Marshall about Brock Anderson. QT Marshall ended up saying that it was such a touching moment and how Brock Anderson got Wrestler of the Week. Marshall went on to say that he beat Cody and got nothing, and that he gets it. Marshall wanted to say that he's here and Cody isn't, most likely because Hollywood is keeping Cody busy. He said he can only hope Cody Rhodes gets picked up by some lame superhero movie, so he'll be away, and so that he can work towards becoming a champion. So those were the words from QT Marshall. And then we saw Brian Pillman Jr. He was sending a message to Miro. He was saying, "Oh, Miro thinks he's a Messiah complex." Pillman ended up thinking that Miro just picks fights with people he thinks he can beat. So Pillman wanted to say that he was born on the wrong side of the tracks, and Miro is going to get his ego checked next week. Well, we all know Miro is retaining the title. So. And then we had Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston ended up saying that all the Young Bucks care about is their ego and the World Tag Team titles. He ended up saying that the titles feed those egos, and the only way to hurt them is to take away their championship. Penta, who was also there, ended up saying that Matt and Nick talk about all the people they run over. But next week, him and Kingston will run them over. There you go. And then we had the main event. Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy, the AEW World Championship on the line. This was the best match of the night. This was a awesome, good match here. And like I said, this match is the biggest part in Jungle Boy's career. This is the biggest match in Jungle Boy's career. And I like how at some points in this match, it made you believe that Jungle Boy was going to beat Kenny Omega and become the new AEW World Champion. But as of this match, after this match, Jungle Boy will be considered a future world champion after watching this match. So we had Jungle Boy's family was shown at ringside. Marco Stunt got on the apron. and he ended up getting thrown out by the referee. He was yelling at the Good Brothers, who were also there. So the referee ended up throwing out Marco Stunt, also Luchasaurus. And then the referee then decided to toss the Good Brothers out of ringside. So it was just a one-on-one matchup with Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy. No interference from the teams, the Good Brothers and Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt. So Don Callis was on commentary for the match. The match started off with Omega and Jungle Boy tying up in the corner. Omega ended up patting Jungle Boy's hair. He ended up backing away. Omega locked in the wrist lock and slapped the back of Jungle Boy's head. Jungle Boy ended up flipping out of the wrist lock. He ended up locking up Omega's wrist, and he was landing a few chops. Omega ended up taking a boot to his face. Jungle Boy then ended up looking to dance on the ropes, but Omega ended up yanking Jungle Boy off and onto his shoulders. So Jungle Boy was looking to fly, and Omega ended up dodging and pulled Jungle Boy out to the floor. He ended up throwing Jungle Boy into the barricade, and the crowd throughout this match was all for Jungle Boy. When he ended up coming out with the Tarzan Boy song, everybody was going, oh, oh, oh. The whole crowd was singing along to, Tarzan Boy, and they were, like I said, they were behind Jungle Boy in this match. So we had Omega end up playing Jungle Boy. He went for the cover. Jungle Boy kicked out at 2. Omega was delivering some chops to Jungle Boy's chest, and he was looking to go for a suplex, but Jungle Boy ended up reversing it. So Jungle Boy then ended up hitting a brainbuster on Kenny Omega. Jungle Boy then delivered a low drop kick to Omega's knee. Omega tried to go for the Snapdragon suplex, but Jungle Boy ended up delivering a back elbow to Omega, which sent him out to the floor. Later on in the match, Omega was looking to go for a suplex, but Jungle Boy ended up reversing it, and Omega was looking to go for a superplex, and he ended up nailing it on Jungle Boy. Omega was looking to go for the V-trigger, but no, he did not want to go for the V-trigger. He ended up delivering a German suplex, and Jungle Boy ended up landing on his feet. So we had the Good Brothers. They end up trying to run out. We had the Jurassic Express, Marco Stunt and Luchasaurus, and Frankie Kazarian stop the Good Brothers. And they were all fighting to the back. And Jungle Boy ended up having the snare trap on Kenny Omega. Omega was able to get to the bottom rope to break it up. Jungle Boy ended up trying to go for another snare trap, but he ended up taking a kick from Omega. At the end of the match, Omega ended up delivering a V-trigger to the back of Jungle Boy's head, and Omega ended up delivering the one-winged angel to Jungle Boy. Went for the cover, and there you go. Kenny Omega ended up winning the match, retaining the AEW World Championship. Post-match, we had Omega end up taking the title. Omega was looking like he was winding up the clock to hit Jungle Boy with the championship. And Christian Cage ended up coming out. He was just punching away at Omega. Kenny Omega ended up bailing out of the ring. And, of course, we had, Matt Hardy's guys end up showing up. They go after Christian. Matt Hardy ended up dropping Christian, and then he went for the Twist of Fate. Then we saw Matt Hardy's guys, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, ended up coming out. The Hardy family office. They ended up putting Christian down. Matt Hardy then ended up coming into the ring. He ended up dropping Christian, and he ended up pinning the Twist of Fate. So Christian ended up going to counter with the kill switch, but the Young Bucks ended up coming in, and the Young Bucks delivered double super kicks to Christian. And we just saw Kenny Omega then raised up the AEW World Championship as AEW Dynamite went off the air tonight. So that was that. But overall, Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy, awesome main event, awesome match, very good match. And it proves right here that Jungle Boy is a future world champion. So he'll be winning that world championship in the years to come. It's not going to be right now, but Jungle Boy will eventually get there. But overall, Dynamite was an awesome show tonight and very enjoyable. So anyways, that's it for my review of AEW Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Very happy that Dynamite is going back to Wednesday night. Now starting this Wednesday. It's going to be good to have Dynamite back on Wednesday. So, anyways, thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.